You're awful noisy.
In tool belts and coveralls.
I'm too old for this.
Hard labor at the Faines Lake House.
We call it a barn dominium.
Not exactly how Kristen and Jerry Fain pictured retirement.
We thought that when they said what they had done was completed.
They say their home was supposed to be move-in ready 3 years ago.
We've delayed a cross-country motorcycle tour for 3 years now. And that's, that's hard to recoup that time.
Then I actually owned a 6-acre parcel there.
Bill Fanslow's retirement dream never got off the ground. He's standing where his house should be.
So it was supposed to be L-shaped.
Fanslow has a pond, but no porch like he wanted.
Dirt and rock. Rock is free.
While Fanslow and the Fains had different outcomes,
I've built these walls. I put up walls.
they both hired John Stoner, owner of Blaine Builders. Stoner filed for bankruptcy 6 months after the Fains signed their contract and 2 months after Fanslow hired Stoner for the job.
It's mentally exhausting and it's discouraging. I've worked hard all my life. This was my dream to retire here.
Yeah, right in there's good.
The Fains initially paid $55 grand to purchase the building and start the project. Fanslow wrote a check for a $130,000 down payment.
And Stoner said in order to meet the deadline to get this under roof by the first of the year, that he would need the money up front to order materials because they were custom materials.
Just weeks after Fanslow's initial payment, Stoner requested another $8,000 to buy gravel.
So he basically hired an excavator.
Then the work stopped.
Because John Stoner knew that he had a problem with his project manager.
According to Fanslow's November 2017 contract, the project was supposed to be done by the following March. In January 2018, Stoner filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
So we framed everything.
The Fains say construction for theirs started in October of 2017, and they only saw Stoner once at the site, 1 week before the bankruptcy filing.
There were problems with their work. Concrete caved in. There was
no permit.
The Fains say they spent an additional $100,000 to make repairs and finish the job themselves.
When they pulled out, we had a foundation, a partial building with some like tinfoil insulation on it, and a partial roof. And that's what we had for $76,500, I think we had
correct.
paid him.
6 on Your Side investigates called Stoner. He wouldn't comment. Mechanicsburg police officer Stephen Rhodes is investigating what he says is corrupt behavior.
I've accounted for maybe $15,000 to $30,000 that would actually be considered legit building supplies, and the majority of it was like concrete, gravel, that type of stuff.
And where's the rest?
Nobody knows.
The case opened with this complaint from a different homeowner about paying Blaine Builders $20 grand for plumbing, electrical, and insulation work in September 2017. What little was done couldn't pass inspection.
And we discovered that they had not actually even applied for electrical, plumbing, those type of permits through the county.
A deeper dive led Officer Rhodes to Fanslow's Shelby County complaint.
That's kind of what blew the top off of it.
Officer Rhodes says not only did he see a pattern with Blaine Builders not finishing jobs, but a red flag with Stoner's project manager, convicted felon Matthew Taylor, who also declined an interview.
Just some of the things from his priors raised concern that an individual like him would be in a position with a business partnership like that to have control over finances.
In 2017, Taylor pleaded guilty to 2 felony theft charges and got 60 days in jail. In that case, Stoner wrote a letter on Taylor's behalf for work release, calling Taylor an essential part of Blaine Builders' success.
Because you want to see this through.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because this is not a bad business deal. You can tell from the beginning, and you can just tell from the dollar amounts.
Officer Rhodes says he was provided audio from the bankruptcy proceedings.
And he openly admitted in bankruptcy court that he knew he couldn't complete the work or take on the jobs, yet he still accepted payments for them.
Officer Rhodes says his resources are limited. He pressed the Attorney General's office to follow the money. BCI investigators showed documents to 2 prosecutors, and both agreed there was no criminal activity, which is why no action was taken on the request to look at financial records.
The fact that they're not willing to look at it as a criminal act when clearly we can prove it is, and they're just putting it off as a civil issue, you know, the reality of these people getting a penny back is less than slim to none.
Fanslow is fighting Stoner in bankruptcy court, alleging fraud, but says a bigger issue needs to be addressed to protect consumers. According to the AG's office, home builders are not required to be licensed and bonded at the state level.
That's what bothers me the most about it, is the effect is it's going to happen to somebody else if we don't change the laws.
Back at the lake house,
Oh, yeah.
a bright moment for the Fains.
That's 3 years.
Yeah,
3 years of work.
News of being granted their occupancy permit. One payoff for their unforeseen labor.
I'm just looking for just a comment about whether this was just you in over your head. Do you want to just comment about that?
We're not making any comment. Thank you.
Silence from John Stoner, owner of Blaine Builders, as he hurried across the street outside bankruptcy court in Dayton. That wasn't the case on the witness stand.
I guess my ability to run a business really showed. I made some poor decisions in who I worked with and who I trusted. And
Stoner's defense puts the blame for no work getting done on Fanslow's house on Stoner's project manager, convicted felon Matthew Taylor. Fanslow contracted with Blaine Builders in November 2017. He paid out $138,000. Stoner filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy 2 months later.
I just think I've been had.
Fanslow's attorney says not only did Stoner put the fate of Fanslow's money in the hands of a felon, but misused corporate funds for personal needs, noting a trip to Penn State after Fanslow's first installment.
Went to the ball game and used the corporate checking account to pay for your tickets to Penn State.
And then we redeposited the money on 11/24 for $350.
Stoner says he would reimburse expenses when he got paid. Fanslow's attorney says Stoner was upside down on all his projects and should have refunded Fanslow.
I don't remember him asking for a refund of his money.
So do you believe he was in over his head, bad businessman?
Way in over his head, but I think he knew what he was doing.
Bill Fanslow walked out of this law office in disappointment. He's still out $138,000 with no hope now of ever seeing a dime returned.
To me, it's outright theft. I'm still not giving up on the criminal side to push for criminal charges against this individual.
Bill Fanslow listened to the conference call with the bankruptcy judge from his lawyer's office in Troy, at times shaking his head in disbelief and disappointment. Our camera wasn't allowed as the same rules in federal court applied. The judge stated at the time of Fanslow's contract with Blaine Builders, when he signed over $138,000, the builder, John Stoner, was not committing actual fraud. He stated Stoner had sloppy record keeping and bad judgment.
He was left with at least $80,000 of my money. He never returned it, and nobody knows where it went.
Fanslow hired Stoner in November 2017. He wanted a custom home, but ended up with just cleared land. Stoner went bankrupt 2 months later. During a trial last month in Dayton, Stoner's attorney pointed the blame at Stoner's project manager, who is also a convicted felon. The judge said Stoner was naive to rely on recommendations of his father and realtor to bring the man on board and not realize the risk.
He trusted him with my money, of which now my money is gone.
Fanslow says he is still working with Mechanicsburg police on a criminal case.
You still have your health, life goes on, and I think Stoner will pay for it in the end. I mean, he's got to answer to a higher power than me.
I reached out to Mr. Stoner. He did not want to comment on today's decision. In Troy, Tara Morgan, 6 on Your Side investigates.